Hello, everybody. Welcome to day 19. So, previously on Cult of Rigs, Cult of Rig single, um, we did clean up a bunch of stuff. We did set ourselves up for success with a bunch of things. We componentized some items, uh, moved uh, moved things that were in the underworld, things that were connecting global spaces such as the god node to the leg and the foot. We moved them into the leg. We moved some stuff from the leg global into the leg as well because it didn't belong there. So the only thing we have that's trailing is the foot. Now does not account for this offset for the, if you want, the angular distance between the ankle and the leg. But we're not too worried about it just yet because the behavior is actually correct. It's just there's really odd, wonky angular addition in it, and this is now not really doing what we think it should. But yeah, other than that, what we want to work on, however, is the leg, and we've been saying for a while we're gonna guide it. We did a lot of this work was to make it easier to guide it. Now the up vector remains in the leg global, and we were good, and we added it to the interface and moved it on. So yeah, we should be able to work with this. Now the first thing we want to actually guide in the leg proper, do we have anything? Not yet, which is good. Let's have a quick look at what is going on here. So 2 parameters is how we're gonna clean up the guy. We've been pretty orderly about that. It's clean, and the config right now has femur length and tibia length, which is what I would expect it to have. So that right now is coming from a config. It might actually still sort some effect. Yeah, so you do get some effect from it, which is correct. So there's a fair chunk of stuff hooked up to it. We will want that to be done by a guide. Now the other thing, and one of the reasons why we moved items into the leg from the leg global and from the underworld, was that we want to be able to control the hip position ourselves. So is that connected? Yes, it is. Let me freeze this thing because not a fan of having that stuff staying around. No shapes, thank you. So what do we have here? Okay, hip word SRT, hip offset. So we have a leg input, that's good. The hip offset, it might be pretty easy to guide the hip position. So, and I'm hitting the mic, never a good thing. Okay. Audio still good? Because I had to move the mic and the filter a bit. Chat, please let me know. I am gonna be assuming that it is. Okay. So what we want to do is for the largest part have, and we might need to create more than one matrix if we want to do a space switch from it. 5x5, cool. But let's get onto it. So we've been using circles, yellow circles, for guidey stuff. Normally, I said it before, normally not a huge fan of circles as controls, but I don't want to spend hours doing the iconography of a rig, and for something that just has to do with positions, it's gonna be fine. And we're gonna use the IK to guide the orientation, so we don't need the orientation of. We only need to position the, like, yeah, we only need to guide the position of I can do it, of the hip. which is largely the offset. So this being a guide, we don't particularly care to buffer it. Do I want to call it guide? Probably yes. Yeah, sure. For now, I mean, it is effectively a control. I don't mind guides having the same qualities that a control does, except because they are the controls for the riggers, except that they eventually get removed. So how do we want to play these? Now we have an input coming in. We don't have a space switch yet, and I'm not sure we want to implement one right away. We could pretty much just drive the offset from a control. In that case, I might want to have it buffered. So let's go for that. I think this episode is gonna be... We have some modeling still to do ahead of us to get a... I would like to get a complete rig before moving on into the graph. So something where we can literally bring the geometry and guide it, work a little bit maybe on the scripts to clean out the guides, because I think that will be interesting for people to watch, and then close the season with the evaluation. So make NURB circle, don't really need it, should not blast away, yeah, should just delete the history. So presumably what I will want, so legwords, you scale up, put translate. I do need to add a decompose. So I'm wondering if for the guide, I reckon I do care about keeping everything, as in scale, rotate, translate. Might not use it, but there's no real point in the guide not dealing with it. And so we hooked it up to that. Yeah, sure, we can work with that. We'll add parent switching later on if we really need to, maybe as an example to one component. It's not the point of this season. And then so, and this is something I'm quite liking, like this is a straight up offset, which was there for just for me to be able to configure things, I believe, and it seems like things have been named diligently. Yeah. So these I actually kinda like. This is actually the hip offset. Sorry, this is actually gonna be the hip offset. And now that we have a guide, we don't really care about these all that much, because we should be able to use the X4 matrix from these. And this is really, oh, maybe not the SVT. And sure, it's a matrix multiplication, but what we're trying to describe is the offset itself. Well, no, I'm lying. That is not, oh, come on. That might not be a great idea. So this is heap 4. Now it remains heap 4. That I have definitely lied. It's just in matrix form, so still needed renaming, but... And now that part should be guided just fine. No, it's not. So not X form? Or me not doing the right thing. This should move the cube at 4 at the very least. So... Huh. Okay, that happened. So this needs to go before the other matrix, and I was positive that I had done that. But apparently not. So now, has that left me with any crud in there? Because you see, like you can see from the order of, let me see. You can see from the numbers here, it's pretty easy for an array to get resized, and you get the logical indices, which might be completely offset from the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever that you start with. And on some nodes, unless the array is editable, you will just not see if there are strays. And that is very annoying. But now it's also possible that I'm misremembering the X form. Okay, so the X form is probably the one for pivot. I forget. I thought, I don't know why I had in my head that the X form is either the pre-pivot or the pivoted matrix, but in this case we just want the matrix attribute, which is going to be our local. So that's part 1 of the guide for sure. Now the second part will be placing the ankle is something that we disconnected. Might want to bring that back. More interestingly though, do I have 2 parameters? I did create to delete, which is good news. So we definitely, once this is gone through, and this is another thing I like about doing guides this way, sometimes when you have something that is a constant, like a constant offset in here, getting rid of the guide or reinstating the guide for, if you think it through, not always, not for everything, but very often is gonna be down to just, hey, delete this stuff and you're cool. Especially when you have offset-like control, so you don't need to re-inject yourself into some hierarchy. I like that a lot. It makes guiding a relatively pleasant process for the most part, not for its entirety. You are still gonna pay a guiding tax. So, show me all your attributes. Thank you. It's not like message is one of the most commonly used ones. I mean, why would I want to see the message, right? And I actually got myself a right-click shortcut on the Wacom because the drivers are a bit wonky, and it's actually helpful. I practically never use the buttons down here, the bottom left one, so there you go. So this is done and tracked. We might want to rename it to something sensible. Are we decomposing? Now this is only hooked in here, so we can't recycle these, which means it's also good for deletion. And this is gonna be Lego. Sure, let's call it guide. Our naming convention is a little bit all over the place. We need to sort that out at some point. This is the hip SRT. So and uppercase I in a name with camel casing. Terrible. It looks like an L. But what can you do? Can you change the font in Maya? Like, it's for something like the node editor, it's generally a bad idea to have something that is sans serif. So sans serif means it doesn't have the serifs. The little curlies around some letters that help you like distinguish between I and L, you know, capital I and lowercase l. Anyway, so we've guided that. What do we want next? What is a reasonable way for people to actually work in? And why are you not giving me my manipulator? Okay, you are. I was selecting the wrong item. So this seems legit. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. Someone was saying you can, but you have to find the right CSS override. Yeah, definitely not gonna do. CSS, you mean the Qt style shit, I imagine. Like there's a few things they got right, like the kerning and things like that. There's a lot of stuff that is actually really hard to do that you might think it's trivial, but it's not. But on high pixel density monitors, some of the choices can be a bit odd. Anyway, let's move on with this. Now the end of this thing, and this is gonna be something where it's like, I really don't want to do it. So right now I have disconnected the ankle because I wanted it to do stuff. I wanted it to be driven by these. Well, not that one specifically, more like this. But in a guiding situation, you don't want that to happen. What you actually want is this. Like you want to be able to move around the guide and stuff happens. Now the guiding for these parts should be intact, so that's similar to what we want to do for the IK leg, I reckon. And I reckon we gotta do it and fix it at another time. Now the other thing I want to do, man, this is also turning out into pretty slow episode, but you gotta get this stuff clean. Oh. Sorry for that. Normally I close that window right away. I forgot it was open. I closed it before the stream. Anyway. And sure, they'll do me. Oh, and by the way, if you go on the website, which for which for now not loading it, but is in the bottom right of the screen, cultofreak.com. The scene in this state where I recomponentized the God node offline, it was like literally 2 minutes of work and made sure that everything is clean. I changed nothing else that I have memory of. Is available in the pilot, in the season 1 downloads. And okay, so this is done. Really on the fence about this, but I guess do it now and clean it later. So what seems reasonable is for the buffer of this control, which right now is hooked to our reparent kind of, well, it's in our head, it's a reparent. Obviously the node is going to be something else. This is just a decomposed matrix, and this is the multiplication that gets it. I will need to hook it to these, which is actually already guiding the rest, so that's pretty cool. We had that right. Do we have... We don't have a tools panel yet, or do we? No, we do actually. Oh, this is making it harder and harder for me. Yeah, it's here. For me to find excuses. I had already, like, to not do it. I had already half done it, actually. So these connections, if you... I mean, you should have watched the previous episodes, otherwise very little of this is going to make sense. But these are basically instructions on how to rebuild the graph properly after you remove the guides. Because the guide has to take over things that it really shouldn't. And so, oh, the scale was already connected. We don't really care for that. I might have to just bite the bullet and do it, because this is a good place to have it. So these, as you can see, oops, come on, is going out to there. Yeah, so we know how, even if you don't write yourself tools, by doing these you're basically bookmarking how to restore things after the guide. Rotate might be a bit dangerous. I don't think we've done enough work to support rotations properly, but for now we'll be okay with it. Now, in the to delete, I don't know if we have one yet here. We can look at these another time. These will definitely need to be in the to delete. And show all attributes. Did I have? Nah, not in these two parameters, so I'll need to add it. This one I'm not in a hurry to do, actually. Come on. And no, thank you. So, have I done everything correctly? This is not pinned, which not a fan of pinning, but I've had it with my graph being reorganized. So this chief main graph that we're using to track things is gonna stay the way it is, like, which is all pinned. So now that part is correctly guiding the foot. We probably, well, without probably, we want to add a guide for the up vector as well. Another thing we need to do is to the guide panel, sorry, just a sec. To the guide panel, we need to add a boolean to go guided or not, and that can toggle the visibility of a bunch of stuff. It will make it work a lot cleaner. It's a lot of grind work, so I might not do it on stream, or I might record it as an offline thing. So we have that, and I would expect these to be need to follow the same stuff that leg follows, with an offset involved, obviously. My daughter is being lovely. And anyway, sorry. Yeah, we probably need to do things as we spot them to not go completely insane with these. So this works, and it's good. Let's get ourselves at least some colors, I guess. No, I want display, not that. Overrides, thank you. Can probably use the default yellow if I can catch it. Now, what next? We will have to control these. And I suspect that right now we're not even driving it. No, we are. I stand corrected. So this is the sacred graph, which I cannot F up. See, there's stuff that's not pinned. So if anything in your selection is not pinned, Maya will pin it. If everything is pinned, I think it gets unpinned. But it has to be absolutely everything. It's not gonna, pin it first, even if everything is pinned, and then unpin it, whatever. So yeah, keep an eye on one of the nodes when you use pin unpin. It might spare you. Like, you might be thinking, oh, I'm pinning everything, and then some odd combination makes it so that you had not selected the right subset and you have just unpinned yourself into layout hell. So what I wanted to pin for is, yeah, see, that's why I pinned, because God knows for that graphing what the blood price would have been. We do have a reparent. What? Matrix mode 1. Why is this called? This angers me. Ankle reparent, up vector reparent. There's nothing. So can I change that to get rid of? Yes, I can. Okay. For a second, I thought we had to. And I was like, I am not pleased with that. I might have duplicated and then cleaned up this stuff, I guess, and that's why the trailing ones. But we don't seem to have duplicates. We might have stuff that is not assetized. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Like if you look at this foot start, there's no box cube shaded thingy here, despite the fact it seems not to be a cube but something else. We will have to make sure that things go where they belong. My daughter is getting really excited. So, repairing. This is a matrix mode. Let's pin these. And what is your input? Sure, like the node is here, there's empty space around it. I would like it to be at the other end of the word. That is a perfect place to bring the node in. For color and size. So someone is posting a gist on GitHub for where to find the Qt style shit. I assume. I might have a go at like the thing with these fonts is that they're pretty fast to render and they stream well, so I'm not sure I'm willing to do it on the box that I'm streaming from, but thank you. So cool, this already works, and this is we can give these the same exact treatment that we gave the ankle, where we take over the buffer. This is busy work and it's boring to watch on stream, but I don't want to do this offline. I don't think it's a good idea. So where is my tool panel now? There you go. Ma figurati. So chat, I'm curious, how much of my daughter grunting from her pen could you actually hear? Now, let's make sure that we do these clean and tidy. And this is one of my favorite things, like it makes every graph a little bit more of a mess than it should be. In transforms you have translate, rotate, scale, and then on some nodes they decided that, you know, I don't know, rotate comes before translate because I guess, I mean it's not, yeah, it's alphabetical, so it's RST. It's anyway. Stop whinging. Keep doing. So we want these for no. We wanted these for guided, and that's translate, and these for origin. I think that's the way we've been doing it. Like this is somewhat confusing for me because I do it one way at work and another way at home. But I think that we say the original attribute and the one that is guided, that, you know, we've taken over with the guide, so we will very much, once we go into the guide removal process, we will, thank you very much, like to go find the guided attribute, and if it's connected to something other than the origin, reconnect it to the original attribute, and that way the guide gets progressively, as we go through these, the guide gets progressively disconnected. Also, that global shortcut thing, I thought I had something selected enough. I did not. I am now paying. All my nodes are now collapsed. Thank you. That's lovely. Also, chat, you're not reminding me to save. You, all of you have been very lax in the last few streams. So that done, we do want to take over that, and doing it, it should be as no, not these. It should be as simple as guide global, guide heal, it's exactly as simple as what we did here. So, and this is a leaf kind of doublet, so I can literally just duplicate it, dump it somewhere else. It should not have funky names to it. Where is the second? I thought I had two selected. Oh, there you go. So definitely need to rename that before it becomes damage. But so this is gonna be like global guide. Vector. We don't need anything else. I mean, and because so much is in global space, this should also be a triviality. Well, I expect it to be. So the first thing we want is nothing. I mean, the buffer will be fine wherever it is, getting from the inheriting from the word. What is probably gonna happen is that this is gonna be trying to think. Do I even care? I probably do. I mean, it's like this is supposed to kind of be always onward. So like this is right now is not being driven by the God node. It's just a straight up offset in word space. Up to you. Like the right thing to do will probably be to hook these up to the God node properly, so that if you move it around, you keep it. At the same time, if you hooked it to, you know, where you expect it to be a child of, it could get a bit weird because it starts not representing an offset any longer. It's you got to be careful with that stuff. So for now, things that we know to be in word space and the guide is largely in the word space, we'll keep in there. I suspect it might bite us in the buttocks later, but it will be a problem to fix later. I mean, this is slow going enough as it is, and I'd like to get most of the guiding done today. So this is the buffer for the up vector. So I have unpinned node in this selection, so I expect that if I do P, yep, it should keep everything that is being pinned and pin the rest that wasn't. It's almost a tongue twister. So this is the up vector buffer, which is what we want to move, definitely. It is in global space. It's at the very least it's related to this, so it's our local frame set for the word, I guess. And we do want this to be at 0, and we do want this, which is our rigging animation-y control thingy, to be driving where that buffer is. Done the swap. Don't even need that. Like all of these stuff I flagged for reconnection, we can leave it in there. It's completely harmless for the record. It's just, it's gonna add a bit of clutter to your graph, but it's just a sort of bookending what you expect, what you state the natural connections should be. I think we're not really doing anything with these. No, we are. It should be literally as simple as connecting these in. So on this one, we had more work to keep track of because we're literally disconnecting a buffer that was important and connecting another one. But on these, we do have just an offset in word space, and that should be good. I'm gonna try it because this seems like enough. Like it's gonna be enough. I don't know what is going on. My daughter is making some really scary noises. She is really excited about whatever the hell is going on over there. Sorry. I'm sure you could hear that. I have no doubt about it. Okay, so... Alright, straight face, straight face. So that's the leg global guided. Alright, she seems to have subsided for now. I might need to call an exorcist or something. Alright, anyway. So we don't seem to be needed to reconnect much here, because we are injecting in the offset and it's the offset in the word space. I kinda like how these worked out. I'm actually wondering whether I overcomplicated the leg buffer, but I don't think so. Nah, because the leg buffer was connected to something else. So yeah, I had... Yeah, it was getting like, so the sorry, just to explain things. I still need to make sure of that, because I suspect that I might have overcomplicated these, but I was tracking the original connections to this buffer, and it needs no, yeah, it's okay, that's good. So because I'm using something from there, the original connections for that, see, this is why I like this method. Even if you do it manually, it's gonna make it so much easier for you to track stuff. I might have overcomplicated it. I mean, this does have an offset, and I should be able to hook into that offset. Yeah. And call it a day. So same treatment that I've just done for the buffer, because it's in word space. Which I will kind of like, actually. I mean, right now it's not doing anything. But yeah, I do suspect that I have overcomplicated what I need to do for the leg. So this is now taken over by the guide, which means we don't need it. Because once this stuff will be deleted, this node will retain that as a static value. Hopefully this makes sense. I hope I haven't confused things for people. But yeah, I definitely did overcomplicate things. All I need to do to guide the leg, guide ankle ward, is the same stuff that I have just done for the out vector. Should be. So we had these two coming from these two. Seems legit. So let me save and I'll revert if that's not the case, because these should be pretty trivial to reconnect. It should get us a rollback. Sorry, our connection-y thingy back. But these will not have an effect any longer. Now, I had played with these, so yes. So if I get rid of these to replace it with the word... Again, I'm working everything in word space, so, and we might have some work to do with that later on, but... these should be the offset from centerward, so I expect that if I get the word position of these, we're probably good. Sometimes it should be that easy. So I can now guide the hip, the bottom of the foot, the up vector space. Yeah, this seems like a good idea. Spares me from... I mean, these reconnecting stuff, we'll still need to do it. What it does, it's it's really tracking a connection that exists. There's no harm in having more in here. It's just redundant, somewhat redundant. So I don't mind having this extra clutter for now. But what we will need to do is basically only add the nodes to deletion, the DG nodes that we're using, if any. In fact, not even that. So when we'll delete these, it will get unguided and it will still be connected properly. Okay, we can work with these for now. So next thing will be guiding the knee. Then the visibility thing will definitely make a difference. I might do a part of it on stream, but I think you can get the idea. If you want homework to do yourself, if you're guiding a component, if you're playing somewhat step lock to the stream at home, the idea is you put an attribute somewhere where you have access to it as a rigging TD, not for animators. You could put it in the tool parameters if you wanted. You could add yourself something to the guide. It doesn't matter a whole lot. And just a boolean, and all you need to do is call it guidable component or not, I guess. So when the boolean is on, you switch visibilities and or selectability of items so that your guidey stuff is visible and selectable, and hints such as the joints are maybe visible but unselectable, and controls that are actual controls are invisible. And this basically reduces the on-screen clutter a lot and makes it very, very easy to guide something accurately and quickly to a mesh. Now, it's not for free, because what it does is it makes your graph, if you put it somewhere where you can't hide it, so be careful where you get it, where you deploy that attribute, it will basically be somewhere here that has orange lines that go all over the place. So don't put it on a node that you cannot hide away from your graph. Anyway, that's your homework if you choose to do it. I don't know if I'll do it on stream. I might. So next thing I want is basically guiding the two lengths. So if I get myself a knee position, and this is going to be in the leg proper, yeah, I'm good for another few minutes. The distance between these is going to be all I need. Now, because we're in IK mode, if I get the distance right, that should be literally all I need. Now, there's another thing you could do where you could go, hey, you don't guide the up vector. The problem is the up vector is in the leg global, but from one node here on top of the distance, you could also find which side of your solution you're on and place the up vector at a certain, fixed distance. But we have these in the leg global, so we're guiding it outside. I think that's all we need. So chat, if there are any questions, please put them in, because I suspect that this is gonna be the last thing we need to do. Graph is still readable, like there's a little bit of stuff that could use tidying up, I guess, but yeah. We're working across component, we're adding little and tracking a lot, so it's not bad to be in a clean master graph and update it as you go. Guide, hit input, hit pose buffer. seems fine. I reckon not in word space. I reckon that we'll see. I mean, you can always change your mind. We're gonna work with global positions a lot. So you can reparent this stuff pretty liberally. That's another thing that makes, yes, there's additional tracking and working with items as split as, you know, as we do, but there are some advantages to it. You become pretty hierarchy independent if you lose a lot of word positions. You pay with extra nodes, so I mean, don't abuse it, but, well, abuse it if you want. It's none of my business what you do with your nodes, but I will recommend it for your sanity. You don't go overboard with it. But on guides, like if you set things up in a hierarchy and you read the word position of objects, of DAG nodes, whatever you want to call them, it makes it pretty easy to rearrange the guide more experimentally, I guess. Now, for now, I will like that. Where would I actually like that? I can leave that where it is. Yeah, sure. Chat, if there are no questions, then I reckon we're gonna be done in like 5 minutes. Sort of slow stream, but it achieved stuff, so I don't mind it. Now, this is where we gotta be a little bit careful. What we want is the distance. We're actually okay with distance between the guided elements, to be honest. And that's our femur length. So now I was saying, you know, if you stay in Word, that you can re-hierarchize things. Do I want this to be moved around and then move these for the lengths, which is what I have now, or do I want it to be pinned in word space and then I move the hip while that stays where it is? I don't know, and the reason why I'm asking is that I could save myself a couple nodes if I use the local instead of the global. Again, it'd be good to have a vector length, but distance with the 0 vector as one of the two terms. We'll do that. So this being, you know, 0, 0, 0, and this point being somewhere, it will give me, so it's going to be the local transforms distance. And now, is that leg config receiving from anywhere? No, that is good. So for now, instead of rewiring things, this is not, I reckon, a good idea long term, but to have a buffer to keep track of what we're doing, so in a purely, whoa, that is hideous. Sorry. To have a sort of a buffer kind of connection for now, we're gonna exploit these a little bit. So what is going on here is that now by moving these, I can guide the position, the length of these, and because it's IK, the positions and all that stuff follow. Now I haven't guided the tibia length, so my solution is not gonna be aligned with that position, when that is fine. And do I pin this stuff? So I'm gonna move them somewhat out of the way, mostly and pin them, mostly to make it obvious that it's work in progress. Autodesk, if you ever listen to these, please comment backgrounds. Everybody has them. Everybody. Now, the other bit we care about, do we have, we should, straight up the rolled ankle. Yes, we do. That is getting multiplied by something. Limited. So there's stuff going on. And the guide is going to be in some somewhat static position, so I am inclined to say that I'll need a couple of decomposed matrix. End word, we don't care. I actually know that some of them watched some of the streams. I don't know if they ever send the relevant clips to the UI people. Anyway, sorry, I was lost for a second. Now, I was saying, I might save myself something, but I do need the word position of these anyway, so yeah, I might not take that shortcut. Well, I will not take that shortcut so that I can stay more word. I don't know, word spaced, well, whatever you want to call it, word based, global. So this is now a global operation. And sure, another decomposed matrix, and I will like the word. Thank you. Now, before I was using the local, do I have a conversion? Hit position. So, okay, I was lying. I will need to convert the word of these to a local as well. So I am saving myself a node. Is a node saving a single node worth trouble? Possibly yes, possibly not, who knows. Now distance, I don't want that, sorry, I want to translate. Distance is going to be unsigned because the distance between two items is, or should be at least, is always a positive number. Unsigned means it doesn't have a sign, it's always positive basically. And that should be the tibia length. Yes. So we're in a decent place for the guide, and we've done most of the work in one episode. So I know there was like a couple super boring episodes, where one I spent pretty much all of the time just, looking, taking stock of everything I had, and another one before was a lot of discussion to debug something, but I think it paid off because now this is in a pretty good place. It's not a lot of nodes and connections done in one stream, but they're fairly important one. I think we have the whole leg guidable now. So I can definitely move the ankle, and I will need and want these to be, I guess. So yeah, we still have some work to do. We will have to work more in word space. So as I sorry, as I move these, for these need to become like to remain relevant, I still do want to transform it kind of the way the IK will be, like at least keep it on the right plane. And that could be done a couple of different ways. It's a bit late for me to do it now, so I guess we know what we're going to be doing the next time. And yeah. Well, it's not too bad. I'm still going to call it a win. It's alright. Next episode we should be able to finish, or get very close to finishing all the guiding. So what we can do now is we can offset the hip. That's good. We can move the ankle, like we can move the foot and get the whole thing moving, which means that then the behavior of the foot itself remains synchronous. We'll still have, like, this is our FK, let's call it foot. It's the offset to the tarsi. So it's going to be the last thing we fix. And that's good. Now, so we have the ends, we have the up vector. Literally the only thing I think that's in need of fixing, or rather it needs to be contextualized to be useful, is this. So what it will mean is that we'll probably need more word space stuff, and that's okay. I'm gonna keep this stuff outlying so that I remember that it's my work in progress for next time. All right, if there are no questions, I'm gonna call it here, because I got somewhere. It feels like getting to one of these kind of like one of these points in the offering where you go like, yeah, okay, I achieved something, and you know, I'm happy to keep it at that for now. At least I know exactly where to start from the next stream. So yeah, this seems alright. There are no questions, it seems. Just fair enough. I mean, I don't think we've introduced anything new this episode. Alright. I am gonna call it. So, where is it? Thanks a lot for watching, and if you're following on the stream, I will be on tomorrow. If you're following these on YouTube, who knows what year it is. And have a good day, everybody. Thank you.